to make this happen. But I thought it was important because some of y'all, if you're like me, you need to see somebody in person and hear it from them, not through an email or something like that. So we wanted, and we're glad that we could provide you with this opportunity. So Dr. Alamshak's going to go first, and she's going to talk about what's going to happen Tuesday as some of our kids return face-to-face. And then I'll come back. We have a few questions that were posted. I'm going to answer those questions. And then if you have any questions here in the face-to-face auditorium, I'll answer those. And the virtual learners can still post questions, and I'll go back and answer some of those. We will try to get an FAQ up this weekend based on these questions. So if you don't remember, if you didn't take notes, you can refer back to FAQ or to the recorded video. Other than that, I think we're going to go. Virtual people, you need to mute. Turn your camera off. Virtual people, yeah, you. So here we go with Dr. Alamshak and our first day procedure.
All right, can everybody hear me? All right, I will try to make sure I stay at this volume and that I enunciate so you can hear through the mask. So kind of the first thing that we need to address is why are we doing simultaneous and remote learning simultaneous remote and face-to-face learning at the same time? So there's a variety of reasons of this. So one, we are changing the bell schedule next week. We're going back to our traditional 90-minute class periods. And this is to make sure that we have enough instructional time to get through the scope of the TEKS for each course that's being taught. In addition, all the kids will be on the same schedule, so it's less confusion for the kids, and it's less confusion for parents, and it's less confusion for our teachers as well. All right, so what do we know so far? 48.4% of our students have opted for face-to-face instruction. So that's 1,372. Actually, it went up to 73 yesterday. Virtual, 51.6, so 1,463 of our students have opted to be virtual. When can you make changes? So you can make changes for your child to go from remote learning to face-to-face at the end of each 9-week cycle. So the window for the second 9-week cycle to opt into face-to-face opens on Monday of next week. If you at any point want your face-to-face child to go remote, you do not have to wait for the window to open to opt them back into remote learning, okay? So if at any point you want your student to go remote, you can send the counselor an email, you can talk to Mr. Krill, and we will make the decision for your student to go back remote. So the district has a variety of resources for you as well. They have a very extensive webpage devoted to all the COVID resources out there. One of the things that might interest you, they have a COVID-19 cases by location. So you can kind of see the up-to-date numbers for the district of students and staff with COVID and understand kind of what we're doing to address that. So if somebody is exposed or has possible exposure to COVID, we're going to work with GISD nurses and begin contact tracing and complete a thorough assessment. And then based on that assessment, a determination will be made as to whether an entire classroom or multiple classrooms are to be quarantined. If students are quarantined, they will have access to the remote learning. Okay, so it's going to be a seamless transition from face-to-face to remote if we have to quarantine students or whole classes. So what have we done to welcome students back into the building and keep in mind the idea of social distancing? So the first thing, the district came in and they laid arrows on the right side of the hallway to indicate right side movement down the hallway. So we're going to control the traffic that way in the halls. They also put circles in the center of the hallway to indicate 6 feet spacing for the students and the teachers. The stairwells, we're going to designate up stairwells and down stairwells so students are not passing them to each other while they're going up and down the stairs. Other things that we've done, we've social distanced the cafeteria and the gym. We have signs, we will have signs everywhere to indicate how many students are allowed in the bathroom, reminders of students to wear masks, and we're implementing a contactless bathroom pass so students don't have to worry about picking up a pass to go to the restroom during the class period. Now, with that said, we are not going to have the restrooms open during the passing period, so they will have to wait till they're in their next period class to ask for permission to go to the restroom. And each classroom is going to let one kid out at a time. So these are just some pictures, so you can kind of see what we've done. Again, you've got the arrows in the circles, and you've got the cafeteria tables. We will have plexiglass in the cafeteria, and we've also indicated with the X's where students are not allowed to sit. So any seat that does not have an X is where they're allowed to sit. The stairwells, so what's going on with it? So the stairwells, the 4 kind of outside stairwells, those are going to be our up stairwells. And then the 3 center ones through the middle part of the building, those will be our down stairwells. And again, they'll be clearly marked, and we'll go over that with students repeatedly until everybody gets into that habit. Now, you might be wondering if we have a fire drill or we have to evacuate the building. At that point, every stairwell becomes a down stairwell. This right here is just more informational for your students, especially if they're new to Sachse. We've got some interesting numbering going on in the building. So they need to know that the 1s and 1000s are downstairs. Your 300 is the fine arts area. Your 500s is the gym. Okay? And then the 200s and the 2000s are upstairs. All right, so safety protocols. And I'm going to try to go through this quickly, and I know it's a lot of information, and you will be receiving an email with this information as well. So when students, when they come to school, they'll be screened for COVID-19 symptoms prior to entering our building. Each student who attends classes on campus will be provided with a face mask and a face shield through their B5 teacher. The expectation is these will go home daily and they will be sanitized. Now the mask is mandatory. Students have to wear a mask. It can be the one that we provide during B5, or it can be the ones that y'all purchase for them at the house, okay? But they have to have a mask on at all times. The face shield is optional, all right? There's some requirements like bandanas and other things that do not fit snugly on a kid's face. Those are not allowed, okay? So it's gotta be a real mask that hooks behind the ears and fits very snugly. If you need additional details on what we're doing, there is a resource called the GISD Reopening School Guidebook, and it gives you an overview of how the district is handling the back to school situation. So when we start on Tuesday, our building will open at 6:30 a.m. for students, okay? We're gonna have 2 main entry points, the front main entry, which is right over there, and then our back gym hallway. Our students gonna be asked a screening question, kind of like what I asked you when you came in today. Are you or anybody in your household feeling ill? All right. If the student answers no to that question and they have no fever, they get to come into our building. All right. So we're asking the question and we're taking their temperature. Doors will be propped open, so students don't have to worry about touching the door handles. Students will be reminded to wear their mask and socially distance. Right there. That's good? Yeah. All right. Field house will be closed before school unless an athlete has an appointment with one of the athletic trainers. Students will go to the gym, cafeteria, and library after they've come through the screening process, and at 7:15, all students will be released to the academic hallways for their A1-B5 class. Students arriving after 7:40, because they're tardy, they will enter through the main entrance even if they park in the back. They still have to come in through the main entrance after 7:40. The gym entrance will be open, though, between class periods to screen any students returning to the campus from the GRCTC and any senior late arrivals. So there are 4 possible scenarios. I thought I deleted that. Oh, this one? The transition. Yeah, that right there. So scenario 1, student answers no to the screening question and they have no temperature, they get to come in the building. Scenario number 2, student answers no to the screening question, but for some reason their body temperature is registering 99.6 to 99.9. We will give them about 10 minutes, retake their temperature, and if it's still elevated, we'll contact the nurse for additional guidance. If it's lower than 99.6, they'll be allowed entry into the building. Scenario 3, student answers yes to the screening question, but does not have a temperature over 99.6. We will contact the nurse for additional guidance. Scenario 4, if a student answers yes or no to the screening question, but has a temperature above 99.9, we're gonna contact the nurse and they'll be escorted to the isolation room in the clinic. And then you'll be called to come pick them up or release them to drive home, okay? So our cafeteria protocols, we already kind of talked about this. We have seats marked off that they can't sit in. We'll have the plexiglass. They have to wear their mask when they are walking through the cafeteria, but once they're sitting down, they can take it off to eat. During breakfast, they're responsible for throwing their own trash away. But during lunch, we're going to have teachers that are pushing trash cans to collect the trash, so it limits the movement of kids into the cafeteria. And then no sharing of food or items as well. During our transition period, so between our passing periods between classes, again, students are going to walk on the right side of the hallway. They've got the arrows on the ground and the circles to remind them of what 6 feet apart is. They have the stairwells that are marked up and the ones that are indicated down. Mask must be worn. No loitering or grouping. They have to go straight to class. Restrooms will be closed. Water fountains, only the bottle filling stations are active, so they need their water bottle from home. And then the classroom doors will be propped open during the passing period and closed and locked during the class period itself. In the classroom, the goal is for students to remain in classrooms as much as possible. Every teacher has plexiglass on their desk to allow them to provide a little more one-on-one assistance to the face-to-face students while maintaining that safety. There's going to be very limited sharing of supplies. Anything that is shared will be disinfected between each class period or each student. And then the restroom, again, one kid out of the classroom at a time, and they'll scan a QR code. And then again, school computers will be cleaned between each class and socially distanced on seating chart. So the big thing is our teachers are required to keep an updated seating chart for contact tracing purposes. And they've uploaded into a file that we are all, as administrators, are able to see. So we do have those on file. We do know where the kids are sitting. So if there is a situation, we can do the contact tracing with as much efficiency as we can. Missing next one. Right. So our bus students will be released a few minutes early from their last period class to make their way out of the building and onto their bus before we release the rest of the students. Once we release all students from class, students are allowed to attend tutorials and club meetings. However, if they are not with a teacher, coach, or sponsor, they have to be out of the building and heading home by 3 o'clock. Okay. Other things that are kind of important things to know are clinic procedures. We have a flow chart to indicate when a student will be sent to the clinic and when a student will remain in class. And a lot of that is just a lot of communication between our teachers and our nurses to make sure that we're sending kids to the clinic for medical reasons and not because the kid needs to kind of rest and lay down for a little bit. And then for the counselor, AP office, and attendance office, we're doing this by appointment only. And there will be QR codes and forms pushed out to the students so they know what to click on to request an appointment with their counselor, AP, or the attendance office. I think that's it. The next is just
All right. So if you aren't overwhelmed yet, maybe you are now, but hopefully that clarified some things for you all. And again, we'll take questions here in just a minute. To touch on a few things that she mentioned. One, mask at all times. We don't anticipate this, but we have to prepare for this. If a student who is face-to-face refuses to wear a mask, we're going to ask them to wear their mask. If they continue not to wear their mask, that student is going to lose the right to be a face-to-face student and will become a virtual student and not allowed back in the building. Okay? And then in order to come back face-to-face after that, a parent meeting with me and the child will have to happen before I will let that student choose face-to-face again. I know that Dr. Lomchak said something about an email. You're going to get one sometime today after this meeting that's going to have about 5, 6 different attachments, a video, all kinds of stuff. Be sure that you get it. If for some reason, and it's going to go to the primary email, if your family does not get it, be sure and reach out to myself or Mrs. Hogue, and we'll try to get that to you because it's going to have a lot of information in it. And I think there was something else, but I can't remember it right now. Oh, you saw the tables without plexiglass. I got an email this morning. They had the wrong measurements 2 weeks ago of our tables because we changed tables, and they're going to install it tomorrow. So they're going to be working up here to put our plexiglass on. Oh, okay. So temperature check. We have infrared thermos screener walkthrough devices. So the student will stand in front of it. and it takes their temperature. They can either do it from their forehead or from their wrist. It'll give them the reading, and then they walk through. So we have that. We also have backups with handheld devices as we need them. Okay? So if you have questions, hold them. I'm going to run through these, and then we'll start gathering questions as we go. Now, I will say this before I start answering questions, and those of you that were with me in the spring, you already know this. There is a good chance I tell you something at 7:47 right now, and by 10:47 this morning, it will change. That's the world we live in. It's just everything is fluid and always moving. We will try to keep you up to date, and I'll be transparent as I can be with you all to get you new information as it changes, okay? So, here we go. Will spectators be allowed in the stands at football games? I have a 10:30 athletic meeting today with the district. I hope to gain more information, and as I get that information, I will pass it along. What if I'm unable to do face-to-face? Then you need to reach out to me. You can do that via email. If my child doesn't have a Chromebook because he used his home computer, can he still use one of the school's Chromebooks? Reach out to Mr. Quah. He has a list of students that do not have technology, and then he can answer that question. This next one's specific about their own kids, and I'll just need to talk to them. I'll reach out to them. Another one's about downtime in class. It's very lengthy, so I'm just going to paraphrase it. If you have concerns about what's happening in the class and what's being taught, downtime, stuff like that, please just reach out to me, call me, or send me an email. I'll call you and we can have a discussion about the plans. The link to the parking spot registration is not working. Mr. Young is my assistant principal over facilities, and parking is part of that. So he's going to double check that link. And if you have any questions regarding parking, you can reach out to Mr. Young. Children that are virtual, will they be allowed to take the fall intercession courses? The answer is yes. How will that work? Information's coming. We have a save the date coming out. My son's on the swim team now. He also would like to play basketball. Would that be possible? Coach Mike Sell is our basketball coach. Reach out to him and he can see how they overlap to see if that's possible. Are students required to wear face shields? No, but we will provide one. There's not a community pool of face shields. We're going to give the kid one, and then they take it home. Hopefully they bring it back if they want to wear it, but if they forget it, we're not going to give them another one when they come back. They get one face shield. Can Intercession Week be explained a little bit more in depth what they do? Is it for grades? It is not for grades, but it'll be for intervention. Students that need a little extra help, whether that's with an EOC tested area or maybe they are falling behind in a class, that can help them get caught up. And we also have enrichment. Mrs. Crook and Mrs. Hogue has put together a save the date that has a lot of different things that we're going to be offering. That went to the district yesterday, so that should be coming out this weekend, if not by next week. And it'll tell you exactly what some of the things we're offering are. But it is not, you don't just come for enrichment and get a grade. No. If you don't come to intercession, it is not required. You basically get a week off. We do have a football game scheduled that week, and we play Rowlett, so just FYI. Dr. Lomshak covered the next time to go in person from virtual. Sorry about the short notice. Did the best I could. Will teachers teach both online and face-to-face at the same time? Yes. How will freshmen know where their classes are? That's going to be one of those things that come out in the email. We're going to have a map. Counselors, I know Miss Prim's back there, and I think that she's the only one in here. But we're going to have maps available, people in the hall to help. We know that freshmen missed an orientation, missed a roundup, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to send out information to kind of help them. And with that map, you can look at Skyward and kind of see where what the room number is, and match it to the map, and then we'll try to help them once they get here. Will parent drop-off be in the front or the back? Parent drop-off is in the back. Will the kids' temperatures be taken? Yes. Will they sit in assigned seats for lunch? Not assigned seats, but we have seats that are marked off. If they receive textbooks, do they bring them to class each day? That will be up to the teacher. I answered that. If my child is in P-Tech, intercession week. Even for P-Tech kids, intercession is optional unless you need some remediation. She answered the sick kids. Are we using middle school Chromebooks? I believe if you had a Chrome, I don't know if they turned those in or not. I can't answer that question. If you still have a middle school Chromebook, I would assume you're still using it. That's the last I heard. You don't have a form to fill out before the kid goes to school, only if they're on the bus, I believe. They can bring their personal laptop. Charging may be an issue. We're looking at power strips and all that kind of stuff, but as you can imagine, all schools are looking at power strips and trying to find out how we can have enough power for these. So I would definitely charge it the night before school. We talked social distancing. We talked that. How many people will be allowed to attend football games? Don't know yet. Intercession, I kind of talked about it. Why is it being conducted? A lot of it's for intervention, things like that. Not everybody has to participate. Talked about that. Here's a question. I do wish I could log on to my kids' classes to confirm their attendance and activity. Is that an option? No, you can't get in like the live Google Meet due to privacy and stuff like that of the other students. But you can log on to Canvas and see what kind of activity they have, whether they were in class. But other than that, unless maybe if you're at home, look over their shoulder. But no, you cannot get in the live Google Meet as a parent. Are buses running the first day of school? Yes. An email is coming from transportation regarding their rules and regulations. And she talked about circumstances, about COVID cases and all that kind of stuff. That was really quick, but that was about 33 questions. So, live face-to-face learners here. Any questions for myself or Dr. Lomshak? Yes. The clubs? Okay, so Mrs. Ellis is our student activities director, and she has a list of all the clubs, and we'll make periodic announcements about, if you're interested in art or if you're interested in martial arts, and kind of and they can also go to the website, but we'll make announcements about when those meetings are if you're interested in joining, and then they can go to them that way. Yes, Joe? We're also putting slides together for her. So make sure your students are looking at those. Always an out going in the cafeteria. Yeah, we have like 4 or 5 big screen TVs in there on the walls, and it just kind of scrolls the announcements and club meetings and things like that. I know what I was going to say about her deal.
Hear the questions.
In the old normal school way, we would have kids hanging out front or out back till sometimes 5, 6 o'clock, things like that. That is not an option this year, okay? Due to us having to monitor and the world we're living in. If your child is not with a teacher, coach, or sponsor, they have to leave this campus by 3 o'clock. If we keep seeing Ray day in, day out, hanging out, waiting on a ride, we're going to tell Ray he's got to go. If Ray doesn't go, we're going to make that call home, and Ray's going to become a virtual student. Okay, the expectation is teacher, coach, or sponsor, or you're gone by 3 o'clock. We don't have enough staff, enough people to monitor the outside, and you all know as well as I do, kids are going to get outside, they're going to gather up, and we can't do that. So I know that could be a hardship on some people. I don't get off till 4. I don't get off till 5. I'm sorry. You may just have to go virtual then. Okay, yes. Homecoming, the important stuff. So homecoming is scheduled for November 13th. I don't know if that's a Friday, November 12th or 13th, right around there. Our plan, again, always subject to change, is we are going to have our hallways decorated and we're going to have our theme week for our students. I would anticipate there not being a dance, just based on the world right now. We're talking about, can we still do homecoming parade and things like that? So that's in the works and in the talks. But with face-to-face starting on Tuesday, it just hasn't made it to the top of the list yet. But it is in discussion. So, yeah, kind of. There will be a homecoming. I just don't know what it looks like totally. Yes. Okay, so I should do this every time with you virtual learners. So the question was athletes being able to go to the field house prior to coming into the building. No, they cannot. So they're going to have to either carry that stuff with them or leave it in their locker out in the field house. And really the only way the trainers are going to take appointments, my understanding is those that need treatment or something like that, they're injured. So this is just too much. We don't have enough staff to screen and let athletes in there, and then they got to be re-screened as they come in. There's just not a lot of, but yeah, they're gonna have to have an appointment. Oh, one thing we have a lot of lockers in the building that we do not use. That is something that if one of the kids say, I can't carry all this stuff, I have my water, they can ask for a locker, and we can give them a locker in the building for the day. Okay. A question came up virtually about, you want me to check my phone? Okay, there you go. Advisory. Announcements every day. Posted on the website. Main page. There you go. Here we go. Advisory. We have changed our schedule a little bit. So we go 7:30 to 2:50. We've added a 5th lunch to help with social distancing and keep our numbers a little bit smaller in the cafeteria. With that 5th lunch, we've added an advisory period. Okay, Mrs. Prim, who's one of our counselors, she is over the advisory period and the advisory committee. And what they'll be doing during that advisory period is we have social emotional learning lessons that they will be doing, kind of mental health check on our kids. We're going to bring back Mustang Read. So if you had kids that went here a few years ago, like prior to me, there was a program called Mustang Read where we're encouraging kids to read. That's going to happen. Any of our class meetings and assemblies, those are going to happen during that advisory period, so we're not wasting class time and interrupting class time. We're going to do it during that time. So yeah, it's going to be a good deal where kids can have some health checks and stuff. So it's going to be good. Okay. Building opens at 6:30. Okay, question came up about water bottles. I know one of the classes jumped out and said, here's a clear water bottle. We do prefer, and it is recommended that you use a clear water bottle. But that's not the end-all say-all. Bring your own water bottle. If it's clear, that's great. If it's not, bring your own water bottle. Anybody else in here? Yes.
The QR codes for their restroom passes, is that something the student needs to scan?
Yes. So with their phone, with their Chromebook, they can scan that QR code.
Okay.
and it will, it's their name, time out.
It's their name, class period, and if they're leaving or arriving. And the beauty about it is if the kid doesn't have a phone, they could let one of their friends scan and fill in the information for them. That's an option too, okay? So it's not just unique to the kid that's using the phone. It's kind of a generic form.
Okay, so it's a form for them to fill out necessarily.
Correct.
Thank you.
Which that's, we stole that idea just because, you know, when kids go to the bathroom and touching the pass, and that's kind of weird anyway, so. Okay, saw hands, we'll go right here.
How is the criteria of paying for meal? Is it the touchpad or is it QR code?
Okay, so great question. Our students all will be given an ID. They're also going to get a trust card, but we'll talk about that later. An ID is going to have the barcode on it. They have money on their account, free reduced lunch. They scan their barcode. That will take care of it. If they don't, then they will have to punch in their number. Okay? Yes.
So mine's a question, is he gonna get that on Tuesday?
Their ID? Okay, so about 80% of our school is done with IDs and trust cards. Freshmen, they're an issue. Okay, because the files that the middle school sent us came from, we use one photographer and it comes one way. The other campuses use different photographers, so we don't have all their pictures, but we plan to take them all that week. So it's probably not going to be on Tuesday, but they will get it that week. And we have a plan in place to get all those pictures taken. Okay, so the advisory period is built in to the third period class. Can we pull up the bell schedule? It'll be on the website. I'll show you what that looks like. But yeah, I mean, we still have 90 minutes. While they're pulling that up, another question. Providing lunches, meaning I have not heard that, but I can for sure check on it. That'd be a good deal. That's virtual. Okay, so you can see, go ahead and scroll down where it says lunches and providing. So that's kind of the breakdown of what it will look like. Obviously, if you can go to the Sachse High School website, you can pull up the bell schedule and kind of discuss it. What else? I'm here for you. Yes. Okay, so that's a great question. As you all know, there's been some communication issues between Canvas and Skyward and all that. The Skyward grade should be the correct one. Okay, so the question was, virtual people, that Skyward Canvas, the grades may not appear the same. We were told that the Skyward grades are the accurate grades. Also keep in mind, for those of you that have students that are in extracurricular activities, we moved to quarters, right? 9 weeks. However, the eligibility calendar did not move to 9 weeks. So grades will be looked at after 6 weeks, and eligibility will be determined. Okay, so if you're like me sometimes and you don't look at grades till it's almost too late, you may jump on a little bit earlier because students will gain or lose eligibility based on that 6 weeks, not on the 9 weeks. So just kind of a little.
Well, they actually can.
Well, yeah, they can't because that'd be 3 weeks later. That'd be the progress report. So. But be sure to check 6 weeks grades. Yes, ma'am. Yes. So it's just like, well, it's not just like normal school. But our teachers they all have the master schedule on what lunch they have. So on Tuesday, I will come on the announcements and we'll say, if you have this teacher, you're going straight to A lunch. If you don't have these teachers, then you go straight to your third period class, or I guess that was B7. You'll go to that class and the teacher will then tell you what lunch you will have. Okay, and virtual students will be notified as well. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so the question was about eligibility and gaining and losing. So state of Texas has a no pass, no play. You have to be passing your classes all with 70 or above in order to remain eligible to participate in extracurricular activities. Football, volleyball, band, theater, choir, doesn't matter. At the end of the 6 weeks, grades will be looked at. If you have any grade below a 70, you will not be eligible for competition or performances. All grades above 70, you're good to go. Does that help? Okay, sure. The question was about lunches for virtual learners. So what the lady was asking over here is elementary was told that lunches would be provided free of charge through December. I have not been told that for a high school or a secondary campus. We will have lunches available for purchase in our cafeteria like we normally would. Always free to bring their own lunch from home. Vending machines have been stocked. So it's my understanding those are going to be open as well. So yeah, they'll have an opportunity to get lunch. So the easiest thing to do would be to go onto the Garland ISD website and go to PayPams. Go for parents. It's called PayPams, and you can load money onto your student's account, and then it just be deducted every time they come through the line. You can bring cash if you need to, but obviously exchanging money, we want to do that as least as possible. Okay, so the question was about GRCTC students coming back to campus or leaving for campus. GRCTC students that are here in the morning and going there, they will have a lunch. So at 10:40, they'll go to lunch, they'll eat lunch, or if they drive, they can leave and go get lunch and go GRCTC. If they're coming back here, they will be delivered in the morning if they're a bus rider. To the home campus, and there will be time for them to come in, bell will ring, and then they'll pick up their last 2 periods of the day. So, but yes, they'll be there at time. Yeah, he'll be here by 10:40, which is when the period ends, where second or fifth, sixth period ends. So he'll be here by 10:40, and then he'll jump into his, whatever his schedule is for the last 2 periods. Yes.
I know Tuesday or this next week, probably, do you think the taking temperature would delay any schedules, or is it a quick turnaround? Especially if they're coming in clumps and stuff like that.
So will it delay? Yes, it's going to be the question was about getting in with temperature checks and all that. Will it be a slower process than just walking in? Absolutely. Those scanners are pretty quick. So we're going to have staff on duty to help kids social distance and not gather in groups. But yes, it is going to be slower. I would anticipate the first couple of days being a little bit slower than day 3 and 4 as we learn the new process. Is that good? Okay. So we're going to give some grace these first couple of weeks as we get back in. We haven't been in school since March, so we get it. And I also get that, you know, some kids haven't been around other kids. They're going to be excited to see people. I get that, but there's going to be grace for getting kids in. We're going to monitor how long it's taken us, what we need to do. Again, it's a very fluid, living machine that we're doing here. We got to figure it all out as we go, because I mean, I've never done this before. So we're going to, we have our procedures in place. We'll tweak them as we need to. But the main priority is to keep our kids safe. Anybody else? Okay, so the question was about parking. So I'm going to step out and let Mr. Young talk.
Okay, so we started sending out emails yesterday to people who had already signed up on the website. And again, I'll check the website to make sure that the link's working. So if you don't receive an email, if you signed up and you don't receive an email by this afternoon, email me, Ray Young, ryoung@garlandisd.net. Next week, after school, between 3 and 3:30, Tuesday through Friday, kids need to come down, pay their fee, show their driver's license, show their proof of insurance, and we will give them their parking sticker. Right now, I tried to keep everyone in the back parking lot. However, they're repainting the band field back there, so half the parking lot right now is being power washed, and it's going to be painted. So most kids are going to be back there. I'm starting to fill up the south lot. If you get a spot in the south lot, we're not opening that door. They still will have to come around to the main entrance or to the gym to make entry into the school. But you should get an email if you signed up. I know some new ones signed up last night, so I haven't assigned them yet. Hopefully I'll get to them. I'll be working this weekend on that as well, so it may be this weekend before you get an email if you just signed up for it. Got you. Okay. Yes. And if they're a senior and they're painting, they'll also pay an additional $40 for that. So it's $20 for parking, additional $40 if they're painting. Does that answer your question?
Okay, yes, ma'am. Sure. Absolutely. So the question was, will somebody be here to assist kids who have never been in the building or help find their rooms? Absolutely. So we have teachers and counselors that are going to be on duty. You're going to get an email that has map and all that. They're going to have hard copy of map, I think a couple of them, and they just find an adult and we're going to help them get to their class. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of kids who have never been in here because they missed the roundup, the orientations, things like that. But yes, we're gonna help them out for sure. Anybody have anything else? Anything pop up? No? Anybody in here? Okay, that's about 45 minutes. I do want to say this. You were handed a piece of paper whenever you came in. And you're going to hear a lot of this over the next few weeks between now and November. And it's called the TRE. Okay, and you're going to want to know what that is. I encourage you to read that document. Watch the videos. Go to the FAQs. This is a very, very important piece that will pass for Garland ISD. Okay? So be sure, if you have questions about the TRE, ask me. I know when people start talking taxes, everybody thinks taxes are going up. This is actually a tax reduction. So if you need help understanding that, if you have questions, please reach out to me. There's resources listed on that paper that came from the district. And yeah, so vote for the TRE. All right, that's all I have. Thank you all for coming, virtual learners. Thanks for being here. And as always, run. Mustangs run. And we'll be here if anybody wants to come up, social distance, ask a question.